Oh, what is going on, Ada Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central. My name is Fareed, and as a part of today's video, just like always, we are breaking down all of the latest news and updates going on in Cardano. The very first thing I want to dive into is going to be a brief review of the weekly development report, followed by some updates surrounding the upcoming Cardano Summit, which will be taking place in Dubai. After that, I want to jump into some analytics surrounding Project Catalyst, as well as take a look at some of the proposals that are currently getting some of the community's attention. After that particular set of news, I want to jump into some updates surrounding World Mobile. So they now have an additional 4 air nodes that have been deployed, and they've also continued to increase their World Mobile token buyback program. Now, last but not least, surrounding that particular segment, we did get some pretty big news surrounding an upcoming Aerostat launch within a particular region. So stick around for that update. I'll be diving into that a little bit more. Now, following the updates on World Mobile, I want to talk about LQ or Liquid, which is going to be a DeFi lending protocol building on Cardano. This particular team has rolled out a brand new multi-loan feature, as well as added a market for 2 new stablecoins. One will be USDT, which is already live, and then we're expecting the launch of USDT. Now, the last piece of news I want to jump into as a part of today's video will be surrounding the Linkage finance protocol. They're going to be an index style platform allowing you to invest in multiple tokens or in baskets of tokens on the Cardano network. As always, if it's your first time stopping by the channel, my goal is to provide you guys here in the Cardano community with the latest news, tutorials, and reviews for the top builders here on the network. If you guys appreciate content like this, I would really appreciate you if you could tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, consider subscribing for more. And if you have any questions surrounding anything we're touching as a part of today's video, then make sure to go ahead and leave a comment down below. Last but not least, I am a single stake pool operator operating the Dapp Central stake pool. If you'd like to support me on my mission to educate the broader crypto and Cardano community, then consider delegating with the stake pool, which is stake pool ticker DAPP. That said, thank you all for your support, not only on here for YouTube, but also with respect to the stake pool. Jumping into the very first topic here for today's video, I want to quickly take a look at the weekly development report. And so it states here that we now have over 144 projects launched on the network with over 1,200 builders, 8.82 million native tokens, 78,000 token policies, and a whopping 9,600 plus Plutus scripts. Taking a look at the left-hand side there, we do have a brand new node version, which is going to be 8.30, which was recently released. There's also ongoing work for lace functionality enhancements, as well as a brand new Plutus transaction enhancement, which was released. And then we also got a brand new version or distribution of Mithril. Last but not least, you can get involved in the Sancho Net, which is basically a playground for governance on Cardano. And I did release a fully dedicated video breaking all of that news down, again, surrounding the Sancho Net. Now, with respect to Project Catalyst, which we will jump into in just a minute, the voting process is still ongoing, and I believe there's about 5 days left as a part of that. The next item I want to jump into is going to be surrounding the Cardano Summit, in which we have the award nominations taking place very, very soon. So the Cardano Summit will be taking place, I believe, in Dubai from November 2nd all the way through November 4th. And it's basically a Cardano-centric event with builders, the community, as well as IOG, the Cardano Foundation, and Emergo, all in attendance. Now, on one of those nights, they'll be having a gala dinner where they'll also be awarding and promoting some of the biggest contributors within the Cardano ecosystem. So if you guys want to actually go ahead and vote or nominate a particular contributor within the community, check out the link down below in today's video description, where I'll go ahead and drop that for you guys. So it states here that 10 winners will be recognized and awarded for their exceptional contributions within the Cardano ecosystems. Again, you can nominate projects or individuals for the 2023 categories, and the submissions will close on the 13th of September. If I scroll down a little bit here, we have the 2023 categories, which include the Cardano ambassadors, blockchain for good, SIPs or Cardano improvement proposals, DeFi and DEX, developer tools, educational influencers, marketplace, most impactful SSPO, NFT project, and then SSI solutions or self-sovereign identity solutions. If we take a look at some of the 2022 winners here, we do have the NFT project, which was Hosky, Patrick Tobler for developer tools and endmaker, Alessandro for SIPs or Cardano improvement proposals, and then Eternal there for wallets and etc. Now, as you guys know, I don't necessarily consider myself a educational influencer. I would consider myself more or less an educational content creator. But if you've been with me here on this journey to educate the broader Cardano and crypto community, and you guys have found any of my content to be helpful, I definitely would appreciate you guys if you guys could take a couple of minutes out of your day to nominate me for that particular position. Again, I truly thank you all for your support here on this channel with the stake pool and just my induction into the Cardano community. It's been an amazing time, and hopefully you guys have been able to get some value from my content as well. Jumping into the next piece here, I do want to talk a little bit about Project Catalyst. And so we now have a total of 5 days remaining for voting as a part of this initiative to fund projects using the Cardano treasury. So the official voting window started off on August 31st and it closes on September 14th. We are expecting to get the results on September 21st. So about a week after the voting closes, everybody who participated should know whether their proposal was funded or not. Now, one thing I want to jump into surrounding the actual Project Catalyst proposals and the system is going to be the amount of people that participated in the actual event. So in this particular graphic on the left-hand side, we have the wallet range, which is basically the amount of ADA currently held by different groups on the network. In the middle column, we have the total number of wallets that fit within that particular range. And then on the right-hand side, there is the total amount of ADA, which basically gathered by that particular group. So what's interesting is that there is a correlation. Obviously, it's harder to accumulate, millions of ADA, especially if you didn't come into the community when ADA was worth a penny or two. But what we notice is that the majority of participants within the Project Catalyst event are within the 1 to 5K ADA range. Now they make up a total of 47 million ADA. And if you take a look towards the bottom there are a couple of wallets that actually hold just by themselves alone more than 45 to 100 million ADA. So really interesting dynamics, right? You can have one wallet, which is basically the accumulation or the total amount of more than 19,000 different wallets within a particular category. And so that kind of goes to show the amount of power that individuals can have within Project Catalyst. Now, one thing that stuck out to me here, and I want to kind of get your guys' input as to what you guys think about this, but it states that out of the 13 or 1.3 million wallets currently delegated with respect to staking on Cardano, only 51,000 wallets actually registered for Project Catalyst. Now, I think this is due to the actual barrier and hurdles that you have to go through in order to, number one, register for Project Catalyst, and then number two, the amount of time that it takes to actually read all the proposals for Project Catalyst. So you can imagine that you want to make this as simple as possible for people to register, but when there's more than 1,500 proposals to actually sift and read through, that can take a lot of time and effort from the community. Whereas with Cardano staking, all you have to do is find a stake pool operator that you trust and that you believe in, and then you can quickly delegate your ADA to them. And then at that point, you don't even have to think about the actual staking process ever again. So I don't think that it's fair to expect that we get 1.3 million wallets actually participating in Project Catalyst, but it would be nice to see somewhere between 25 to 35% of the wallets currently staking actually participating in Catalyst as well. If we were to have that particular amount, that'd be anywhere between 250,000 to 350,000 different wallets actually participating in Catalyst, as opposed to the mere 51,000 that are currently participating now. So I kind of want to pose you guys in the community the question, what do you guys think about Project Catalyst? What can the Cardano Foundation, IOG, and Emergo do collectively to simplify the process and gather more engagement when it comes to Project Catalyst? Jumping into the next piece here, I do want to quickly highlight the fact that, and actually if I jump back over, we have one wallet here which currently holds 82 million ADA, and that is actually going to be from the MinSwap team. So I had a video about a month, maybe two ago now, but the MinSwap team basically has a ton of ADA within their liquidity pools. If you're not familiar with them, they are DEX building on Cardano. And what they've done is basically reached out to their community and had a proposal on their own platform asking them if they should register the ADA within their liquidity pools and use that as a part of Project Catalyst. You can imagine that the community voted yes because they do want their voices to be heard, even while providing liquidity to platforms and earning rewards that way. So given the fact that the MinSwap community voted to use their 82 million ADA for Project Catalyst, they then had to turn around and ask the community, how would you guys like for us to actually vote? So they had a voting process where they identified 50 different proposals. And so I'll go ahead and leave the link to this particular document down below. But this basically breaks down the entire process that they took to make sure that, number one, their voices were heard when I'm referring to the actual ADA holders who had their liquidity on the MinSwap DEX. And then number two, that there was a fair voting process for the projects that they picked. So they explained the filtering process and they explained the data surrounding the proposals that they selected. Now keep in mind that because this was such a big amount of ADA, basically any project that was upvoted here with the MinSwap ADA is basically set to go through as a part of Project Catalyst. So they obviously voted for their own proposal, which was to implement their stable swap as well as a bug bounty for their own platform. If you're not familiar with what the stable swaps is aiming to do, it's basically aiming to allow people to swap in and out of two stable coins relatively quickly. We've seen something like this come out from Wing Riders. There's also a MinSwap Icon V2 proposal, which was passed along, and that was to basically implement or adopt Icon as a part of the MinSwap DEX. Now, I'm not going to highlight every single one of these here, but they also did vote for LenFi. They voted for USDM, which is aiming to bring a stable coin to Cardano. They voted for Eternal and some of their multi-sig upgrades. Optum Finance and Coins, which is going to be a privacy protocol on Cardano. We've also got Fluid Tokens, which is going to be bringing a renting solution for NFTs. We've got so many others. We've got Cerberus, which just released a really good report, actually, surrounding the Ardana project. We've got Maze, a decentralized index protocol, and the list goes on and on and on. So again, I'm not going to break all 50 of these down, but I did want to highlight that, if you guys want to find out more about this, that you can go ahead and check this out here on your own. I believe that will take us there through the very first section of today's video. Quite a lengthy piece there, but I do appreciate you guys sticking around. If you guys have found any portion of this video so far to be helpful, I'd appreciate you if you could tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by the channel and you want more content like this, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions for me surrounding Cardano or anything that we've touched on, then make sure to go ahead and leave a comment down below. The next set of news pieces I want to jump into are going to be surrounding the World Mobile Project. I had a really great time hanging out with Mickey and the rest of the team at Rare Evo that just took place about 2 to 3 weeks ago. I do have an interview which we'll be releasing, I believe, within the next 48 or so hours. It's under review right now by their legal team and Mickey himself, and as soon as they give me the green light, I'll go ahead and make sure to release that. Now, as a part of that, we touch on the eSIM and their rollout within Zanzibar as well as the United States. But what I want to highlight today is the fact that they now have more than 430 Air nodes currently deployed, with a deployment of 4 just within the last week alone. So if we jump over into WMT Scan, we can actually take a look at some of the recent results. The network has been up now for over 492 days, so a little bit over a year and some change. There's now over 15,000 users within the last 24 hours alone, which have consumed 1.43 terabytes of data. And as I mentioned there earlier, with 430 air nodes supplying or securing the infrastructure. If we take a look at some of the air node revenue, we can definitely see that they are generating more and more as the time goes on. And that's just because there's more users and more data actually being used. So the top air node getting, I believe, $83. Now, the amount of time that's gone within that, so it states here that that's actually monthly. So $83 within the last month. And then we have the lowest one. Actually, I take that back. We have one at the very bottom here with over $100 raised within the last month. So I thought that this would have been in order based off of the air node revenue, but that does seem to vary. And this one here did process about 23 gigabytes of data. So that was the first news piece I wanted to jump into there surrounding World Mobile. The next one is surrounding their buyback program. So I believe it's once per week or a couple of times per month, they are going to be buying back their own token from the open market and then redistributing that back over to World Mobile stakers as well as Earth node operators. So as a part of the latest buyback, they purchased 16,000 of the WMT tokens, which is equivalent to about $1,700 US. And then they now have a total buyback balance of 187,000 tokens, which is about $20,000 US. So this team is really putting their money where their mouth is, continuing to support their own network and their own ENOs or Earth node operators. Now, the last piece of news I want to jump into as a part of today's video will be surrounding the fact that we are expecting the very first launch of an Aerostat for the World Mobile project to be happening within the month of September. So as a part of their latest community Twitter space, not only did we get to hear from Charles Hoskinson himself, and he was also able to chat with Mickey, but we also heard from James Tagg, who mentioned this breaking piece of news. If you guys have not kept up with this, the World Mobile team was expecting to get an Aerostat up, I believe, a couple of months back. There's been some delays, especially in Zanzibar, which is the first country that they've rolled out in. But we now have the official confirmation that they have gotten the ability to get an Aerostat up in the air, but they didn't state exactly where. Now, I don't believe that it's going to be Zanzibar. Again, I think there's been some additional holdups there, but we do have Rick Middleton, who is an ambassador for World Mobile, giving us a little bit of some alpha. So he states, I heard Mickey say that the main World Mobile focus was going to be in the United States, and I can corroborate this in my interview that I have with him. Again, stay tuned for that. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that nothing will happen elsewhere. And then he goes on to say that the Aerostat launch, where they have permission to do that in September, will be in Africa, for example. So I believe that they have some infrastructure laid out in Kenya as well as in Nigeria. And so I think that it might be either one of those two spots. Let me know what you guys think down below. It could still very likely be the Zanzibar region. But again, I think that given the fact that they haven't been able to get anything rolling out there, that it might be somewhere else. So that will take me through the update there surrounding the World Mobile Protocol. The next piece of news I want to jump into is going to be surrounding LQ or a Liquid. Now, they have now brought on a brand new multi-loan feature, which is now live in their application. So it states you can now open multiple loans with the same collateral and borrowed asset combination. As an example, 2 JED loans backed by ADA. And then you can now also open multiple loans for the same borrowed asset with different collateral types. So you can basically open up, or as an example, open up a USDC loan backed by ADA and then a second USDC loan backed by JED. So you can basically do either combination, whether you want the multiple loans with the same collateral or whether you want the multiple borrowed assets with different collateral types. The next piece of news I want to jump into surrounding Liquid or LQ is going to be the fact that they now have adopted the USDC token on their protocol. So if you guys are not aware, OneChain, which is going to be a decentralized bridging provider, they came on about a month or so ago, and I released a fully dedicated video as well as some live streams touching on that. But they brought in bridged or wrapped Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT, WAN, and I believe Cardano on other networks just as a part of their protocol. So basically adding brand new wrapped tokens to Cardano while also exposing Cardano to other ERC20 networks. Given that, we now have more than 450,000 USDC being supplied to Liquid, yielding a whopping 26.9 APY. Now, this is going to be the highest yield for USDC on Cardano DeFi for a single asset, which you can be exposed to. So really interesting news piece there. I'm happy to hear that this will bring more adoption and more usage of the tokens brought in by the OneChain protocol. And that was my biggest thing, right? Is we have a lot of bridge assets, but if protocols are not supporting it, it's kind of pointless in a sense, right? Because there's no adoption. So we can have as many bridge assets as we want, but we need more protocols actually incorporating them. Similar thing with the Aneta BTC platform, where they're now minting CBTC, which is a wrapped version of Bitcoin. We need that to be accepted on different protocols to then have that actually be valuable on Cardano. Otherwise, you can purchase it, but if you're just holding it and not actually using it within DeFi, then again, to me personally, it doesn't make a lot of sense, right? It's just a lot more safe, or a lot safer, to just hold the actual Bitcoin on the Bitcoin network. So I think we need to have more protocols like Liquid leading the way here, incorporating more and more wrapped assets from different bridging providers. Now, last but not least, they do have a proposal to add USDT, and I believe this actually passed. So this will be coming on the platform as well. So they've already incorporated USDC, but we can also get the adoption of USDT, depending on what you prefer, right? One comes from Tether, and then the other comes from Circle. That will take me to the end for the updates surrounding the LQ protocol. Last but not least, we're going to jump into the very first preview released for the Linkage Finance platform. I mentioned this earlier. They're going to be bringing decentralized indexes on Cardano, allowing for us in the community to invest in multiple tokens or assets in one single swoop. So some of the features we can expect on the protocol include the ability to create our own funds, flexibility to add and remove ADA from said funds, as well as the ability to dive deep with comprehensive fund analysis and performance charts. Now, we've been waiting to see the actual first preview of this platform for quite a bit of time now, and we have just now gotten that information. So let me get myself out of the way there, let you guys check this out in all of its glory. At the top, we have some of the main menus, which include the fund list, which I believe will just list out all the different funds on the platform. Then there's fund interactions, which will probably show you how many people are jumping into a fund or leaving a particular fund. There's the ability to create a fund as well as view your own positions. They've got a light and a dark mode and the ability to connect different wallets at the very top. Now, coming down just a little bit here, we have the name of, I believe, what appears to be a fund and a preview of the 7 assets currently in that actual fund. You can then have the ability to add and remove from that fund. We have a description of the fund here, the token allocation, basically showing us the proportions that each different token within the fund is making up of the total portfolio. And then we have the ADA value of the actual fund, as well as how much ADA is currently locked within the entire fund. At the very bottom, we have the token positions, which basically give us all of the additional information surrounding each portion of the allocation of the total fund. And then we can view the 24 hours price change in the total share that that particular token makes. So that's basically the first ever preview of the Linkage Finance protocol. And then last but not least, we have a dark mode here for anybody who doesn't like the light mode theme. So just a nice little quality of life feature being brought on here by the Linkage Finance team. But I couldn't end this particular video without touching on that major piece of news. They've been getting a lot of eyeballs on them. They recently had their own token sale, in addition to announcing that they will be working with teammates from the Muesli Swap protocol. That will bring us to the end here for today's video, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys sticking by if you made it this far into the video. As always, if you guys found any of this to be helpful, or if you learned anything along the way, I would appreciate you if you could tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by the channel and you want more content like this, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions for me surrounding any of the builders that we've touched on as a part of today's video, then make sure to go ahead and leave a comment down below. That said, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video.